I couldn't hear anything but the wind. It was dry, hot, and fast. The sky was dark at noon. The smell of smoke was thick in the air. I held my son's hand tight. His eyes were wide. His lips shook. We were standing outside our house in Paradise, California. The town was small, but it was ours. We had a wooden home near the trees. It was simple, warm, and full of love. But that day, it felt like the end of the world. My husband, David, was not with us. He had gone to work early. He worked for the power company. He knew the forest roads well, but I hadn't heard from him in hours. I called, again and again. No answer. Then the fire trucks came, one after another. The sky turned black. I saw a wall of fire behind the hills. A man yelled, "Evacuate now! Get in your car! Go!" I wanted to wait. I wanted to stay. What if David came back? What if he was just around the bend? But my son pulled my arm. "Mom, please." We left everything. Clothes, photos, our dog's leash on the table. I took only one thing a photo. David, Ethan, and me, last year at the lake. We were smiling, so happy. We drove fast down Skyway Road, our only way out. The fire chased us. People screamed. Cars crashed. The heat came through the windows. It felt like hell had opened. Then I saw it. A truck, like David's, burned, empty. My hands shook on the wheel. My heart stopped. Was he in there? Was that his truck? My son cried beside me. I couldn't cry yet. I had to drive. I had to save him. But inside me, something broke. That was the last day I saw my husband. Or so I thought. Before the fire, our life was quiet. We had a small house near Neal Road, just outside the town. Our backyard touched the woods. Every fall, the trees turned gold and red. In spring, the air smelled like flowers and wet earth. It was not fancy, but it was home. David and I met in college. He was strong, quiet, and kind. I liked that about him. He said I made him laugh. We married fast. Too fast, maybe, but I didn't care. He made me feel safe. When Ethan was born, we were still living in Sacramento. I had a good job as a nurse. We lived in a small apartment, busy streets, loud cars, not a place for a child, David said. So we moved back to his hometown paradise. He got a job with the local power company. I found part-time work at a small clinic. It was fine at first, but over time, things changed. David worked nights. He came home late. Sometimes he didn't talk much. Sometimes, not at all. I asked him once, "Are you happy?" He looked at the floor. "I'm tired," he said. That's all. I believed him. I told myself he was just stressed, that he needed time, that he still loved us, but inside, I felt something slipping. He missed Ethan's school shows, his baseball games, his birthdays. There was always a reason, always some job, some storm, some wires that needed fixing. I stopped asking. I tried to make things better. I packed his lunch with little notes. I waited up with warm food. I smiled, even when I didn't feel like it. But he didn't smile back. I thought maybe it was just marriage. Maybe this was how love gets old. Quiet, distant, like the hills at night. Still, I never thought he would leave. Not like that. Not without a word. Not in smoke. The fire came too fast. At first, it was just a smell. Then, dark clouds in the sky. Then, ash fell snow. David had left for work that morning at 5 o'clock. He kissed Ethan's head, grabbed his thermos, and walked out. I watched him from the kitchen window. I didn't know that might be the last time I saw him. By 9 o'clock, the news said fire was spreading near Polga. That was east of us. I didn't worry yet. Fires happened every year. By 10 o'clock, the air turned orange. By 11 o'clock, the sky was black. I turned on the radio. "Campfire is out of control," the voice said. "Wind is moving fast. People in paradise must evacuate now." I called David. Nothing. I called again and again. Still nothing. I looked at Ethan. He was packing his school bag, slow and quiet. "Mom, is our house gonna burn?" I didn't answer. We got in the car. The roads were packed. People left with kids, pets, bags, nothing else. I saw fire in the trees. I felt heat through the glass. Then traffic stopped. I could see a wall of fire in the mirror. I turned off the engine. I held Ethan close. My hands shook. My chest felt tight. People ran past us, crying. A fireman knocked on the window. "Leave the car," he said. "Run that way, to the field. There's a safe zone." I grabbed my bag. Just one photo inside. David, me, Ethan, laughing. We ran. Smoke stung my eyes. I carried Ethan when he cried. My legs burned. My throat was dry, but we kept going. From the hill, I looked back. Our house was gone. I looked for David in the crowd. He wasn't there. I didn't know if he was dead. I didn't know if he was lost. But I knew he was gone. We stayed in a school gym that night. There were hundreds of people. Some cried, some stared at the wall, some just slept. It smelled like smoke, sweat, and fear. The lights stayed on all night. Ethan lay beside me on a mat. He held my hand the whole time. I couldn't sleep. I called David again. Still nothing. I checked the list on the wall. Names of the missing. His name wasn't there. But it wasn't on any other list either. I told a worker, my husband, he was in the forest. They wrote it down. I watched them do it with a pen that shook in their hand. The next day, they let us use a computer. I typed in his name. Nothing. I looked at news online. Fire had burned 150,000 acres. More than 18,000 buildings were gone. Over 80 people were missing. Some would never be found. I stared at the screen for hours. Still no word from David. 3 days later, a man said they found a burned truck off the road near Concow. It matched David's truck. They said the fire was too hot. There was almost nothing left. I asked if they found him. They said they couldn't say for sure, but yes, maybe, most likely. They showed me a belt buckle. It was his. I fell to the ground. I didn't cry. Not yet. Not in front of Ethan. But something inside me shut off, like a light, like a door closed and locked. We stayed with my friend Karen in Sacramento. She gave us a room, a blanket, a place to breathe. I called the power company. They said, "We're so sorry. Dave's a good man." I said nothing. They sent a check 2 weeks later. It wasn't enough to buy a new home, but it was enough to say, "He's not coming back." 3 months passed. I woke up tired. I went to bed tired. My body was there, but I wasn't. Not really. Karen let us stay in her spare room. She made coffee each morning. She didn't ask too many questions. I was thankful for that. Ethan missed his school, his room, his toys. He missed his dad. He asked less now, but sometimes he still looked out the window like he was waiting. I tried to find a new job, but I couldn't focus. Every form felt like a mountain. Every phone call too loud. I spent hours just sitting at the kitchen table, staring at my cold tea. One night, I opened my email just to check. I didn't expect anything, but there it was. From unknown sender at email.com. Subject: He's not dead. Message: Look in Reno. He was seen near South Virginia Street. Don't stop looking. I froze. I read the email 10 times. Then I checked the time. It was 2:14 a.m. I looked at Ethan. He was asleep on the couch, hugged. I didn't know what to think. Was it a joke? A scam? Was someone trying to hurt me? But then I thought of the truck. The one they said was his. Burned, yes, but not confirmed. Only a belt buckle that could be moved, planted. I stood up, walked to the closet, pulled out the photo again, the one from the lake, the one I grabbed before we ran. My hands shook. What if he was alive? What if he left us by choice? And what if I was about to find out? Have you ever lost someone, but deep down, still hoped they might come back? If this part of the story touches you, leave a comment. Even just one word is enough. It helps to know we're not alone. I sold my ring. It was small, gold, and plain. David gave it to me at a gas station in Fresno. He didn't have money for flowers, but he had the ring. I wore it for 10 years. I walked into a pawn shop on Folsom Boulevard. The man behind the glass didn't ask questions. He just looked at it and said, 70. I nodded. That night, I packed a small bag. Just a photo, a map, and a clean shirt. I told Karen I had to go. She didn't stop me. She gave me gas money and a long hug. Ethan stayed with her. I took a bus to Reno. It was cold and dry. The air smelled like dust. I got off near South Virginia Street, just like the email said. I didn't know where to start. I walked for hours. I looked in windows. I stared at faces. I went into gas stations and coffee shops. I showed the photo. Have you seen this man? Most people said no. or just shook their heads. Then, inside a small diner, a young woman looked at the photo and said, "He comes in sometimes, sits in that corner, always with a woman, blonde, pretty, about my age." My chest burned. "Do you know his name?" I asked. She shook her head. "He paid in cash." "When was the last time?" "Last week." I walked outside and sat on the curb. My legs felt weak. He was alive. He didn't die in the fire. He didn't call. He didn't come back. He just left. And now, he was holding hands with someone else, while I was holding ashes. I looked down at the photo. The lake. His smile. Was it ever real? Or was I just the wrong chapter in his story? I didn't go back home. Not yet. I needed to see him with my own eyes. I found a cheap motel near the diner. I stayed quiet, watched people, wrote down license plates. Every day I walked the same street. I watched the doors. I watched the windows. I waited. On the fourth morning, I saw him. He stepped out of a coffee shop. He looked just the same. Same walk, same jacket, same way he rubbed his neck when he looked down. But something was different. Lighter. Free. He wasn't alone. She walked beside him. Young, long blonde hair. She laughed, and he touched her back. He held the door for her. They sat near the window. She took his hand. I couldn't move. My body felt cold, even in the sun. I watched them talk, smile, laugh. My hands turned into fists in my coat. He ordered pancakes. He never liked pancakes. But maybe that wasn't true either. I waited until they left. I followed from far behind. They walked 4 blocks to a quiet street. They lived in a small apartment over a flower shop. I saw him open the door. I saw her kiss his cheek. He looked happy. And I felt like I was watching a movie that didn't belong to me. That night, I didn't sleep. I wrote a letter I never sent. You left me in fire and ash. You left our child. You smiled in pictures and said forever. But your forever ended without a word. I buried you in my heart. But now I see. You were never lost. You just walked away. The next morning, I stood at the door of his apartment. I knocked once. He opened it. His eyes froze. And so did mine. He didn't speak. Not at first. He stood in the doorway like he saw a ghost. Maybe he did. Maybe I was one. I looked at him, his face, his hands, his eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry, but I didn't do either. I just said, "Why?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. I stepped inside. The apartment was small, clean. A photo of him and the woman on the wall, a baby's toy on the floor. My heart dropped. "You have a child?" I asked. He nodded. I sat down on the couch. I didn't ask. I didn't wait. I just sat. My knees were weak, my hands cold. He sat too, across from me. "I couldn't do it anymore," he said. "The house, the job, the life." I felt stuck. "We were your family," I said. "I know," he whispered. "But I didn't want to be that man forever. I didn't know how to say it. Then the fire came, and I took it as a way out. I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was sharp, dry. You let us think you died. I thought it would be easier. Easier for who? I asked. For you? Or for the little boy who cried every night for his dad? He looked down. His hands shook. I'm sorry, he said. Sorry. One word. So small, so useless. I stood up. I didn't come here for you. He looked at me, confused. I came to see if you were dead, I said. Now I know you're not. You're just gone. I walked to the door. He called out, Does Ethan hate me? I turned. No, I said. He still loves the men he thinks you were. Then I left. And this time, I was the one who didn't look back. I rode the bus home in silence. The sky outside was gray. My bag was light, but my heart felt heavy. I didn't cry. I didn't sleep. I just sat, watching trees go by. Karen picked me up at the station. Ethan ran into my arms. He smelled like soap and peanut butter. I held him so tight I could feel his little ribs. He looked up at me and said, Did you find Dad? I paused. Yes, I said, but he's not the same. Ethan didn't ask more. He just nodded and held my hand. I went back to work 2 weeks later. The school needed a nurse. The hours were short, but the pay helped. It gave me something to wake up for. We moved into a small house near Santa Rosa. 2 rooms, 1 bathroom, a tiny yard. But it was ours. I planted flowers out front, yellow ones. Ethan painted the mailbox. He liked to help now. He did the dishes without being asked. He played guitar in the living room while I folded laundry. He didn't talk about his dad, but sometimes I heard him sing songs he used to hear David hum. I started drawing again. Just small things. Trees, birds, hands, clouds. I put them on the fridge. Then one day, I posted one online. A woman asked to buy it, then another. So I opened a little shop. At night, I still thought of David sometimes. Not with pain, not with hate, just silence. Like a door that used to creak, but now stays shut. I didn't forgive him, but I didn't carry him either. I had Ethan. I had work. I had paint on my hands and bread in the oven. I had life. And it was not the life I wanted, but it was the one I built. And piece by piece, I started to call it mine. 5 years have passed. Ethan is 13 now, taller than me. His voice is deeper. He still plays guitar, but now he writes his own songs. Some are happy, some are not. We're close. We talk every night. He knows the truth. I told him everything last year. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I still miss the good parts of him. I said, Me too. The house feels full now. There's music, paint, the smell of bread. I hang my drawings on the wall. People buy them from time to time, not for much, but enough to feel seen. The school job turned into something more. I help teach first aid. I speak at local meetings. I meet women like me, tired, quiet, but full of fire they forgot they had. I don't wear my ring. I don't wear the pain either. Last summer, Ethan and I went back to paradise. There's not much left. The trees are growing again, but the houses are gone. Our street is a memory now. I stood where our door used to be. I closed my eyes. I could hear wind, birds, a truck far off. Then Ethan touched my hand. "Let's go, Mom." We drove back in silence, but it wasn't sad. It was calm, like putting a book back on the shelf. That night, I made tea. Ethan sat at the table, drawing. He looked up. "Do you ever wish it all happened different?" I thought for a second. "I used to," I said. "But if it didn't happen like that, maybe we wouldn't be here. Maybe we wouldn't be us." He smiled. Then I walked to my desk, pulled out a clean page, and began to draw. Not a house, not a fire, not a face, just a tree, new, strong, still growing. Sometimes the ones who promise forever are the first to walk away, and sometimes what breaks us also sets us free. This story is not just about a fire that burned a town. It's about the fire inside. A quiet woman who lost everything but still stood up, still moved forward, one small step at a time. She was left in the smoke with a child, a broken heart, and no answers. But she learned something no one told her. You don't need the one who left to keep going. You don't need the past to build a future. What you do need is yourself. In the end, it was not a man who saved her. It was not a job, not a house, not even time. It was her own hands, her own will, her own choice to begin again. She didn't get the life she asked for, but she built one that was real, a quiet life, a strong one, full of small things that meant something. And in that life, she did not just survive. She grew. What about you? Have you ever stood in a place that used to feel like home, but now feels like a memory? Have you ever looked at someone you once loved and thought, where did you go? Not just your body, but your heart. Maybe you gave too much. Maybe you stayed too long. Maybe you're still carrying someone who already let go of you. But you're still here. You're still breathing. That means your story isn't done. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be fast. You just need to begin again, quietly, kindly, like planting one flower in an empty yard. And if this story made you feel something, even just a little, maybe you know someone who needs it too. A friend who's quiet lately, a sister who hides her hurt, a coworker who says, "I'm fine," but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Send this to them, not to fix them, just to say, "I see you, you're not alone." And maybe tonight they'll sleep a little easier. Thanks to you. If you liked the story, comment number 7. If you think the story could be better, comment number 8. We are always here, working hard to bring you the best stories. Thank you for watching, our dear friends. Your support means everything to us. See you in the next story.